Hi, good morning and welcome to this introduction to SUNCAT. I'm Zena Mulligan and I'm a part-time project officer with EDINA, and I work primarily on the user requirements, engagement and support side of SUNCAT. And joining me this morning I've got two of my colleagues. I've got Natasha Abra-Jones, who heads up the metadata and bibliographic side of SUNCAT, and Moira Whitson, who works alongside her on SUNCAT and who you also may know from working on SALSER. And I'm going to run through the slides this morning, and Moira and Natasha will answer any questions you submit via the webinar facility. So I'm going to start off with a brief introduction to what SUNCAT is, including its scope and content. I'll then show you some screenshots of the service and highlight some of the key features, including the new SALSER view. Then talk about how SUNCAT can help both you as librarians and your end users. And then I'll explain a little bit about how you can migrate your data over from SALSER into SUNCAT. And I'll finish off with an overview of our upcoming development plans, and there should be plenty of time at the end for a bit of a question and answer session, but please do feel free to submit your questions via the webinar facility as we go along. So SUNCAT is a free-to-use service and it's funded by JISC and it's delivered by EDINA, which is a JISC designated centre of expertise based at the University of Edinburgh. And at EDINA, we develop and deliver shared services and infrastructure for UK research and education. And SUNCAT is a union catalogue of serials, bibliographic and holdings records for 103 UK research libraries. And contributing libraries include the British Library, the National Libraries of Scotland and Wales, all the legal deposit libraries including Trinity College Dublin, and all the largest higher education institutions in the UK, including all the Russell Group universities. We also have a selection of specialist libraries, including the National Art Library, the Royal Society of Medicine and the Institution of Engineering and Technology, among others. And we also have one public library, Manchester City Libraries. And including these more specialist libraries helps us not only to improve the geographic coverage of SUNCAT across the UK, it also helps to increase the number of unique titles on the catalogue, as these specialist libraries are likely to contain more unique material not widely held in the UK. And by including these collections in SUNCAT, it has the benefit of making them more visible and ultimately more accessible to researchers. And SUNCAT is also a source of high quality Mark 21 records, which our contributing libraries can freely download to update and upgrade their local catalogues, so that SUNCAT can assist with resource discovery both at the national and down at the local level as well. And like SALSER, SUNCAT contains information at the serial title level. So this includes information about both print and electronic journals, periodicals, newspapers, magazines, annual reports and other publications of a continuing nature. It also includes links through to journal tables of contents and from there to the full text of articles. And as well as having the holdings information of over 100 UK research libraries, we also harvest bibliographic records from the Directory of Online Journals, and we also license records from CONSER, which is the Library of Congress's cooperative online serials cataloguing programme, and this contains some very high quality records which are particularly useful for those libraries who want to download them to upgrade their local catalogues. And finally, we also license records from the ISSN register, and these can be useful for the identification of journals. And all the records from all these different sources are loaded into a database and are deduplicated to view, so that in theory for each unique title in SUNCAT, there should really just be one bibliographic record displaying with all the library's holdings for that title attached to it. In reality, the matching doesn't always work perfectly, largely due to the very varied quality of bibliographic information supplied by all these different sources. It isn't always possible to match records for the same title together, so I'm afraid some duplicates do exist. And this is the SUNCAT homepage. And as I mentioned, it's a free service, so there's no need to log in or to register. And you can use the links in the navigation bar along the top of the screen to take you to other areas of the website, for example, for user guides, FAQs, introductory videos, and just for more general information about contributing to SUNCAT or downloading records. From here, you can get stuck straight in and start searching SUNCAT, or you can use the map on the right-hand side to find out some more information about the individual library locations on the service. Now, for some institutions, that just means one library for that institution, but for others, for example, the University of Oxford, it can mean up to 80 individual libraries. And you'd have to zoom quite far out of this map to see all the libraries in SUNCAT, as thanks to the Natural Environment Research Council, we do have some locations in Antarctica. And finally, on this page, we also have a feed from the SUNCAT blog. So if you want to keep up to date with our latest news, you can do so very quickly as you're carrying out your searches. And looking at the basic search itself, we have a range of indexes to search on: titled keywords, exact title, ISSN, subject headings and general keywords. And auto-suggestions will appear as you start to type in your search term. If your search retrieves 0 results, you should receive some alternative search suggestions. If you want to carry out a more complex search, or you prefer to browse for your serial titles, you can click on one of those links at the bottom just beneath the main search boxes. However, sticking with the basic search for the moment, you can choose to limit your search to the holdings of libraries in a particular geographic area, or to a list of geographic areas. Or you can also choose to limit your search to the holdings of a particular library or to a particular list of libraries of your choosing. And you can also combine these limits together. So you could, for example, choose to limit your search to the holdings of the University of Oxford plus all the libraries in the London area. And it's by developing this limiting functionality that we've been able to provide a SALSER view onto SUNCAT. And so very shortly you should see this SALSER link appearing on the home page with a checkbox beside it. And when that checkbox is ticked, these location and other library limits will be greyed out. And it just means that your search will run on the holdings of any SALSER libraries which are already in SUNCAT. So this just shows a results screen when the SALSER button has been ticked. And the results that you see down here will all be from libraries, SALSER libraries which are already in SUNCAT. And you can see the list of libraries here on the left-hand side of the screen. Now, these results will obviously increase, as will the number of libraries, as hopefully more of you start to migrate your data over from SALSER into SUNCAT. Looking more generally now at the search results page on SUNCAT, you can choose how many records to display per page, and your results are automatically ranked by relevance. However, you can choose to see sort them alphabetically by title by clicking on the title link, or you can sort them you can sort them chronologically by year first published. Also on this page we've got an indication of which libraries hold each title. So if you're looking for the holdings of a particular library, you can quickly scan down this results list without having to go into each individual record. On the left-hand side of the screen we've got some post-search filters. So you can choose to filter your results to a particular holding institution, or to print-only holdings, or to electronic-only holdings, or to a particular subject heading, author, publisher, place of publication, language, and so on. And as you'd expect, these filters work cumulatively, so the more filters you add, the more you reduce down your result set and be led to records most likely to be of relevance to you. Clicking on a title in the results list will take you into what into the full record display, where you'll be presented with what we call the preferred or best bibliographic record for that set. When SUNCAT matches records for the same title together, an algorithm is used to automatically select the best bibliographic record to display, and then you can use this to check in details such as the ISSN, the publisher, subject headings, and any changes of title and so on. However, you can also always view the individual records supplied by each contributing library for this title by clicking on one of these institution links at the bottom of the bibliographic display. At the top of the bibliographic display, there's a Table of Contents button, and this links out to both the ZTalk and Journal Talk service, where you can see the most recently published articles, and you can also expand your view back some older articles as well. And this page has the advantage of not only highlighting new articles, but it also helps to confirm if a previously unknown title is likely to be of interest. And also from the Journal Talks page, you can attempt to click through to the full text of articles via your local URL resolver. Scrolling further down the full record display, you're taken to an alphabetical list of all the libraries holding that title. In addition to the library name, the shelf mark, and most significantly the summary holdings statement, which lists the volumes and issues held, we've also included a link out to the library's local catalogue, so you can now check on the very most up-to-date holdings, library's holdings, very quickly and easily. And the link to the library name on the left-hand side of the screen opens up a new page in SUNCAT with some additional information about that library. So that additional information includes some general contact details for the library. It also includes a link out to the library's website, so you can check in details such as opening hours and access policies. And for those interested in physically visiting the library, we've got a link out to Google Maps and directions. For interlanding librarians, we've also got the British Library Code here and the contact details for the local interlanding department. And finally, we do hope to include in this page the date that this library's data was last updated in SUNCAT to give you an idea of the currency of the data you're looking at. However, this isn't quite working as yet, so these dates aren't quite correct at the moment. And I mentioned that there is an advanced search, so you can create more complex searches, such as excluding terms, combining terms across different fields. It also has a greater range of indexes to search on, and some additional pre-search limits, such as by year first published, by language, and probably most significantly by format, so you can limit your search to print-only or electronic-only material. And finally, for those of you who prefer to browse, you can browse alphabetically by title, by subject, by author, by publisher, and so on, or numerically by ISSN. So now I just want to move on and talk about how SUNCAT can help both you and your end users. And first of all, I'm going to talk about end users. And by that I mean anyone who's seeking information about serials held in the UK. For them, SUNCAT is a free, easy-to-use service which can highlight journals in their subject area and enable them to link through to journal tables of contents. It can also direct them to the copies of the journals they require with links to information on directions and access. And continuing to look at end users, if you add SUNCAT as a target in your local URL resolver, it means that if your user is unable to instantly access a journal article online, they're less likely to hit a dead end, as SUNCAT can provide them with information about whether they can access the title, and they can decide whether an interlibrary loan is an option, or if they can physically visit one of the libraries to get a hold of the article they require, or they may want to use the information to make a case for you to start subscribing to the title by highlighting who else holds it. Or you could think about adding links to SUNCAT in your local catalogue or local discovery service to let users find out about older volumes or current volumes or missing volumes of a title if you don't have a complete run. Or you could also think about adding links to SUNCAT, any pages related to discovery, journals, catalogues, articles and so on, or pages related to access such as interlibrary loans, document delivery or visiting other libraries. Really anywhere where you want to help your users find out about and access material beyond your own institution's collections. And we've actually produced a leaflet with some suggestions on how you can integrate SUNCAT into your library website and services, and that's available on the help and support pages of our website. So SUNCAT can also help a wide range of library staff for a variety of purposes. It can help, serials librarians can use it to check on the bibliographic details of journals. And those working directly with end users can use SUNCAT to help their users locate particular journals or find out about journals in their subject area. Interlending librarians can again use SUNCAT to verify the bibliographic details of a request, and with one search they can check if the journal is held in the British Library or another one of the over 100 libraries on SUNCAT. And of course, if they also contribute to SUNCAT, the same search will also confirm that they don't actually hold it locally. They can also use the geographic or library limits, which could be useful if you've got any reciprocal interlending agreements in place. And they can also choose to use the format limit if they want to limit their search to print-only material, for example. The summary holding statement will let them know if which libraries hold the exact volumes and issues they require. And once they find libraries that have the relevant holdings, they can use the information on the library pages to find the British Library Code and the contact details for the local interlending department. And collection managers can use SUNCAT to determine information about their serials collections. This may help them discover how many unique titles they hold or any overlap with other contributing libraries. And again, they might choose to do this against all 100 libraries in SUNCAT, or they might want to do it against a selection of libraries. And finally, cataloguers can consult MARC records. Cataloguers from anywhere can consult MARC records on SUNCAT, including the high-quality CONSER records, and cataloguers from our contributing libraries can freely download these records to update and upgrade their local catalogues, so improving local resource discovery. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about SUNCAT now, and now I'm just going to talk about the process of migrating your data over from SALSER into SUNCAT. And the good news is, if you already contribute to both SALSER and SUNCAT, you really don't have to do anything. Just carry on with business as usual, and please continue to send us your updates. All we'd ask is that you add, make sure you've got some links and information about SUNCAT on your website. And the news isn't too bad either if you're currently only contributing to SALSER. Contributing to SUNCAT is a very simple process. First of all, we just ask you to complete a questionnaire about your data, and we're very happy to come along and speak to you on the phone or in person to help you fill out the questionnaire if there's anything you're not sure about. And also we would ask you to send a file, initial file of your serials records. And please be reassured that we're well used to receiving records in a wide variety of formats. So whether you're exporting it from your library management system, or whether you've got an Excel file or even a Word document, we'll be able to work with it. And also I'd like to reassure you that we're also well used to data, a wide variety of the quality of data. So if your records are very sparse, please don't worry. So once we've got your questionnaire and your initial file and your data is loaded into SUNCAT, we would ask that you do send us regular update files. And the most common frequency for that is a monthly update. But for any smaller libraries, if you just make very minor or irregular changes to your records, then a quarterly update or even a twice yearly update would also be fine. And finally, again, we would also ask that you would add some links and information about SUNCAT to your website. And the benefits of contributing to SUNCAT include increasing the exposure of your serials collection at the UK national level. It also enables your colleagues and your users to search your collections alongside those of over 100 libraries in SUNCAT. It allows you to freely download the Mark 21 records directly into your local catalogue, and you can also compare your holdings against that of over 100 libraries on SUNCAT. So just to say that if you are interested in migrating, you can maybe tell us at the end of the session, or you can contact me after the session, and we will also be in contact with you, and we're very happy to arrange a phone call to discuss it further. We're very happy to come along and see you and talk through the process and answer any questions or concerns you might have. So now I'm just going to finish off with a bit of an overview of some of our future plans. And the first one is really more business as usual, in that we intend to keep expanding the coverage of the catalogue by adding more contributing libraries, as this is the most frequently asked for suggestion in any user surveys or feedback that we have. I've already talked about, and you know about, the planned SALSER view on SUNCAT. However, we'd also like to add views for other groups of libraries, whether these are groups of libraries by geographic region or by subject area or some other sort of strategic consortia, as this effectively provides a mini union catalogue. So we think it might be of interest to groups such as the M25 libraries, UK Research Reserve, or the Arles Art Libraries. And we'd also like users to be able to, individual users to be able to set up and save their own preferred library and location limits across their search sessions, and also to have some other personalisation features such as saving their preferred display options and saving searches across sessions as well. But the final thing I wanted to highlight today is a development we're currently testing out with a few libraries, which is for a serials holdings comparison facility. I've already mentioned that you can use the SUNCAT web interface to compare your holdings against the 100 or so libraries on SUNCAT. However, you can really only do this on a title by title basis, so that's fine if you've just got a few titles. Not so convenient if you've got a large list of titles you want to compare against. So we've developed an interface which allows libraries to upload a bulk of journal ISSNs for comparison purposes, and we hope that this might help them make decisions around renewing or cancelling current subscriptions, or perhaps disposing of some lower use print material. For example, if a library finds that some of its titles are quite scarce or are rarely held in the UK, they may want to make sure that they hold on to those titles or even move them into secure storage. However, if at the other end of the scale, if they find that they're very widely held, they may feel happy to dispose of those titles and free up their shelf space for something else. Or if they're thinking of cancelling current subscription, they may want to check that their users would have access to a title locally or via interlibrary loan. And this development is based on a service that we already provide to the UK Research Reserve, where we help with the automated scarcity checking of journal titles submitted by their members. And this is an example of one of the outputs from the Serials Holdings Comparison Service. This is the list view. And on the left-hand side here, you can see the ISSNs submitted by the library. And beside the ISSNs, we've got all the titles associated with that ISSN on SUNCAT. In the right-hand column here, we've got the number of holding libraries for that ISSN, and then an alphabetical list of the holding libraries. Beside each holding library, there's an icon to denote whether it's got a print holding, or in the case of Brunel here, they've got print and holding and electronic access as well. The number of icons just denotes the number of individual holdings they have for that ISSN. So Oxford University here has 5, whereas Exeter University just has one. Hovering over one of the icons, this pop-up window appears with the summary holding statement with the volume and issue information for that holding. You can see here that we also have an icon for any titles which have been marked for retention by the UKRR as well. You can filter your results in this page to the number of holding libraries. So, for example, if from the titles you submitted, you really just want to see the titles which are quite rarely held in the UK, you could choose to limit your results to see just the journals held by 2 or less libraries or by 3 or less libraries. Or at the other end of the scale, if you just really want to see those journals which are widely held, you could go and see limit your results to those titles held by 8 or 10 or more libraries here. Alternatively, you can also filter your results to see just titles which have been marked for UKRR retention. And finally in this page, if you click on the ISSN link here, you'll be taken back into SUNCAT web interface and you'll be taken to the search results screen for that ISSN. And this is just an alternative output or view from the service. This is a graphical overview of the level of holdings for each ISSN submitted, so it's kind of a snapshot to let you quickly see how things compare. And you can see here we've clearly distinguished between print holdings and electronic access, and then there's also the total number of holding libraries, whether it's electronic or print or both. And clicking again on one of these bars would take you into the search results screen for that ISSN in the SUNCAT web interface, and it'll either be limited to electronic material or print material, depending on which bar you click on. And finally, you can also download a CSV file of the output, and this will include again all the ISSNs you submitted, all the holding libraries listed alphabetically, and also all their summary holding statements, including the volumes and issues that they hold. So this is a much more complex file, but more difficult to read, but useful if you want to carry a more in-depth comparison and analysis. So I've mentioned that we're currently testing this out with a few libraries, 3 libraries at the minute, but if anyone here today thinks that they'd be interested in testing this out, if they've got a project on which you think it could be useful for at the minute, please do feel free to contact me after this session, send me an email, and I'd be happy to set up a little demo for you and discuss the next steps. So that's really all I wanted to say this morning. Just to highlight again that at the SUNCAT website you can find more information about the service. There's some case studies there, there's information about contributing, there's the leaflet about how you integrate SUNCAT into your website and services, and information on the MARC record downloading service. There's also some user guides and FAQs and an introductory video. We'd also encourage you to have a look at our blog and to follow us on Twitter as well. So I'm just going to hand over to you now for any questions that you might have, and also to give some feedback to let us know if you are interested in migrating your data over from SALSER into SUNCAT. Okay, if you don't have any questions for me at the minute, that's absolutely fine. As I say, please send me an email or contact the EDINA help desk if you've got anything after the session. Please do that as soon as possible. And as I say, we'll also be in touch with you, hopefully to discuss migrating your data over as soon as possible. We're keen to start increasing the number of SALSER libraries in SUNCAT. So please get in touch as soon as possible. But thank you very much for your time today, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.